First Contact's price. The Sentinel-class warship Prometheus died protecting Earth, but its sacrifice changed everything. Admiral Sarah Chen watched the holographic replay for the 1,000th time. The massive vessel, barely 6 months old, intercepting a planet-killer weapon meant for Earth. The explosion had been visible from the surface, a new star briefly outshining Venus in the morning sky. That was 3 years ago. Now, standing on the bridge of humanity's response to that day, Admiral Chen allowed herself a moment of reflection. The Guardian-class vessel, defiant, hummed beneath her feet, its quantum matrices singing a song that still felt alien even after months of commanding her. The ship represented everything humanity had learned from that first, devastating contact. Every bitter lesson paid for in blood and sacrifice. Admiral, her XO, Commander James Rodriguez, interrupted her thoughts. The Arxen delegation is ready for inspection. Chen nodded, straightening her uniform. The Arxens have been watching Earth's borders since the attack, initially claiming to be studying humanity's response to first contact. It had taken months to realize they weren't just observing. They were waiting to see if humanity would break. They hadn't. Instead, they had done what humans always did when faced with overwhelming odds. They had innovated. The Defiant's central corridor stretched for nearly a kilometer, its walls lined with a material that seemed to drink in light. Quantum-locked carbon, the engineers called it. The same substance that had allowed the Prometheus to hold together just long enough to save Earth. Now it formed the backbone of humanity's first true warship. The Arxen delegation waited in the main conference room, their crystalline bodies refracting the soft lighting in ways that still made Chen's eyes hurt. Their leader, Superior Coordinator Val Rix, turned all 4 of their sensor clusters toward her as she entered. Admiral Chen, Val Rix's translator conveyed, "We have observed your vessel's capabilities from afar. Most interesting." Chen had learned to read Arxen body language over the years. The slight vibration in Val Rix's upper crystalline matrix betrayed more than mere interest. It was concern, perhaps even fear. The Defiant represents a new chapter in human defense technology, Chen replied diplomatically. We thought it time to share some of our advances with our observers. The emphasis wasn't lost on Val Rix. The Superior Coordinator's lower matrices shifted. Discomfort, Chen had learned. 3 years, Val Rix said finally. 3 years since your species faced extinction. We expected different results. Chen smiled, though there was little warmth in it. Different how, Superior Coordinator? The attack should have driven you into isolation. Fear should have dominated your response. Instead, Val Rix gestured to the ship around them with a crystalline appendage. Instead, we built this, Chen finished. Humanity has a long history of responding to threats by advancing. The attack taught us we weren't ready for the galaxy. So we got ready. She touched a control panel, and the conference room's walls became transparent, revealing the vast space dock that housed the Defiant. But it wasn't empty anymore. 5 more Guardian-class vessels were under construction, their quantum matrices already beginning to pulse with life. The Arxen delegation's collective vibration was impossible to miss now. Impossible. One of Val Rix's subordinates broke protocol to speak. The energy requirements alone are met by our new fusion containment systems. Chen interrupted. Reverse engineered from studying the weapon that nearly destroyed us. Every piece of technology you see here was built on understanding what almost killed us. The silence that followed was heavy with implications. Chen let it stretch, watching the Arxens process what they were seeing, what they were understanding about humanity's response to near extinction. We have a saying on Earth, Chen continued finally. What doesn't kill us makes us stronger. It's more than just words to us. It's a promise. Val Rix's translator was silent for a long moment. When it spoke again, the tone had changed. The attack was a test. We needed to know how your species would respond to existential threat. Chen's smile disappeared. The temperature in the room seemed to drop several degrees. A test, she repeated flatly. Your world has been observed since you first split the atom, Valrix continued. Your potential for both creation and destruction. It concerned many species. We needed to know what path you would choose when pushed to the edge. Chen's hand tightened on the railing before her, knuckles white. And now, Valrix's crystal body shifted in what Chen had learned was their equivalent of a shrug. Now we know. You chose to build shields rather than swords. To protect rather than revenge. The Defiant is a defensive vessel at its core, despite its power. You could have built planet killers of your own. Instead, we built something that could prevent anyone else from ever using such weapons again, Chen finished. Because that's who we are. That's what humanity does with its pain. We transform it into protection. The Superior Coordinator's crystals aligned in what Chen recognized as their most formal configuration. The Arxen Collective hereby extends an invitation to Earth to join the Galactic Defense Council. Your innovation, your resilience, they are needed. There are threats coming that will require exactly your species' particular talents. Chen looked out at the growing fleet of Guardian-class ships. Each one represented thousands of hours of human ingenuity, determination, and hope. Each one built not for revenge, but for protection. We accept, she said simply, on one condition. Valrix's translator hummed questioningly. No more tests. Chen's voice was steel. The next time you want to know something about humanity, you ask. Because the next time someone launches a weapon at Earth thinking it's for our own good, she let the threat hang unspoken. The Arxen delegation's crystalline bodies chimed in harmony. Their version of laughter, Chen had learned. Agreed, Admiral. Valrix responded. Though I suspect anyone foolish enough to test humanity again will learn their lesson quickly enough. As Chen watched the Arxen delegation depart, she thought again of the Prometheus, of its sacrifice. Its name had been well chosen. The Titan who gave fire to humanity and changed them forever. The attack had given humanity something too. The fire of innovation, the drive to protect, the determination to ensure such weapons would never threaten any world again. The Defiant hummed beneath her feet, its quantum matrices singing of humanity's response to that gift of fire. They had taken their fear, their pain, their loss, and forged it into something new. Something that would stand between not just Earth, but all worlds, and those who would harm them. It wasn't the response the Arxens had expected. But then, humanity had always excelled at exceeding expectations. The weight of steel. Commander Maya Patel stood in engineering, watching the quantum core pulse with barely contained power. The Defiant's heart beat with a rhythm that still amazed her, even after 18 months as its chief engineer. What amazed her more were the aliens currently staring at it in stunned silence. The consortium's engineering delegation, representing 12 of the most technologically advanced species in known space, had maintained their professional composure throughout most of the tour. But the quantum core had finally broken them. Even the Volari, with their legendary emotional control, were vibrating their antennae in clear agitation. You've achieved stable quantum fusion, Chief Designer Zixpa of the Mirian stated. It wasn't a question, but their third eye was blinking rapidly, a sign of extreme confusion or distress. In a containment field small enough to fit on a ship, Maya smiled, running her hand along the control console. We had to. Conventional power sources couldn't generate enough energy to power the defensive systems we needed. Needed, repeated Zixpa. Past tense. You developed this. When? The first successful prototype was tested 14 months after the attack, Maya replied, deliberately using the capital A that had become standard when referring to the Arxen's test of humanity. This is the 7th generation design. The silence that followed was heavy with implications. The consortium members exchanged glances, their various biological and mechanical communication methods creating a subtle symphony of disbelief. Impossible, declared Technical Overseer RK7, their mechanical frame emitting waves of electromagnetic disturbance that Maya's instruments easily detected. Our projections indicated quantum fusion miniaturization was at least 50 years from theoretical viability. Maya's smile widened slightly. Your projections didn't account for human desperation. Overseer, we had two choices after the attack: achieve the impossible or die. We chose the former. She gestured to the holographic displays surrounding the core. The real breakthrough wasn't the fusion process itself, though that was challenging enough. It was the containment field. With practiced ease, Maya brought up the technical specifications. The assembled aliens leaned forward, their various sensory organs focused intently on the data streams. We call it the Klein-Sato field, she continued. It uses quantum entanglement to create a self-reinforcing containment bubble. The more energy the reaction produces, the stronger the containment becomes. That's... Zixva's third eye had stopped blinking and was now fully dilated. That's elegant, beautiful, even. The mathematics must be complex. Maya finished. The initial equations filled 3 quantum computers' worth of processing power, but the practical application turned out to be surprisingly simple once we understood the underlying principles. She touched another control, and the holographic display shifted to show the field structure at the quantum level. The aliens' reactions ranged from sharp intakes of breath to electromagnetic pulses of surprise. The field doesn't just contain the reaction. Technical Overseer RK-7 observed, their vocal synthesizer crackling with excitement. It shapes it, guides it. You're not just controlling the fusion process, you're dancing with it. Maya nodded, pleased at the mechanical being's insight. Exactly. Traditional containment methods tried to force quantum particles to behave. We learned to work with their natural tendencies instead, guide rather than control. Like water flowing around rocks, Zixva murmured, their translator struggling slightly with the poetic nature of the observation. Precisely, Maya confirmed. Though I admit, we got the idea from an unlikely source. Ancient human martial arts. The principle of using an opponent's strength against them, redirecting rather than opposing directly. We applied the same concept at the quantum level. The delegation spent the next hour examining the core from every angle, their questions becoming increasingly technical. Maya answered each one patiently, watching as understanding dawned in their various ways of showing comprehension. Finally, Chief Designer Zixva turned all 3 eyes to Maya. This technology, it changes everything. The energy requirements that have held back a dozen different technological advances are suddenly solved. FTL travel could be revolutionized. Planetary defense systems that were merely theoretical could become reality. That's why we're sharing it, Maya said quietly. The attack taught us something important. No species can survive alone. The galaxy is too vast, too full of potential threats. We need each other. But this gives humanity a significant tactical advantage, RK-7 pointed out. Why share it? Maya's expression grew serious. Because we remember what it was like to face extinction alone. We remember watching our best ship, our proudest achievement, die to save our world. We remember the fear, the desperation, the knowledge that we weren't ready for what the galaxy could throw at us. She gestured to the quantum core, its steady pulse a reminder of how far they'd come. This isn't just a power source, it's a promise that no other species will have to face that kind of threat alone. That's worth more than any tactical advantage. The delegation was silent for a long moment, processing this. Finally, Zixva spoke again, their voice carrying the formal tones of official declaration. The Technological Consortium accepts humanity's offer of collaboration. We will assign our best minds to work with yours, to explore the full potential of this breakthrough. They paused, all 3 eyes focusing intently on Maya. But we would know one thing. What drives your species? The attack should have broken you, driven you to isolation or revenge. Instead, you create, you innovate, you share. Maya thought about it for a moment, her hand resting on the thrumming surface of the quantum core's housing. Hope, she said finally. Everything we build, every innovation we create, every breakthrough we achieve, they're all powered by hope. Hope that tomorrow will be better than today. Hope that we can protect not just ourselves, but others. Hope that the galaxy can be more than just a collection of species waiting for the next threat. The quantum core pulsed beneath her hand as if in agreement. The aliens watched its rhythm, seeing it perhaps for the first time not just as a power source, but as a symbol of what humanity had brought to the galaxy. The power of hope, channeled through determination and innovation. As Maya began explaining the technical details of implementation to the delegation, she couldn't help but smile. The attack had meant to test humanity's response to extinction-level threats. Instead, it had revealed their greatest strength, the ability to transform fear into hope and hope into reality. Echoes of home. First Ambassador Kovacs of the Meridian Collective had lived for 342 cycles, but nothing in their long diplomatic career had prepared them for humans. Standing in the observation dome of Earth's orbital defense station, they watched the Guardian-class vessels perform their daily patrol dance, their quantum matrices singing in perfect harmony. "Beautiful, isn't it?" asked Dr. Elena Santos, Earth's chief of Sinological Relations. The Defense Network AI coordinates their movements to maintain optimal coverage while minimizing energy expenditure. Kovacs's secondary hearts fluttered in agreement. The mathematical precision is impressive. But what truly fascinates me is how you've made machines of war move with such grace. Elena smiled, a human expression Kovacs had learned to read well over the past year. Who says defense has to be ugly? The ship's movements are partially based on ancient Earth dances. The AI uses patterns from ballet, tai chi, even schools of fish. This was precisely what confused Kovacs about humans. Every other spacefaring species they'd encountered treated defense as a purely practical matter. Humans seemed determined to inject beauty into everything they created, even their weapons. "Tell me, Dr. Santos," Kovacs ventured, their translator carefully modulating their tones, "why do humans insist on making art of war?" Elena turned from the window, her dark eyes studying Kovacs with an intensity that made all four of their hearts skip a beat. "We don't make art of war, Ambassador. We make war into art. There's a difference." "Explain," Kovacs requested, genuinely curious. "When you make art of war, you're celebrating conflict," Elena said, turning back to watch the patrol. "When you transform war into art, you're trying to find beauty even in necessity. It's about hope, about refusing to let darkness define us." A new ship joined the patrol, its quantum matrix adjusting to match the harmony of the others. Kovacs recognized it as the Defiant, humanity's first Guardian-class vessel. Its movements were different from the others, more fluid, almost organic. "The Defiant moves differently," Kovacs observed. "She's running the original defense algorithms," Elena explained, "based on traditional Japanese sword forms. Admiral Chen insisted on keeping them when we developed more efficient patterns. She says it reminds the crew why we built her." Kovacs's translator struggled for a moment with the concept of assigning gender to a vessel, another peculiarly human trait. "And why did you build her?" "Not to fight," Elena said softly. "To protect. There's a difference there too." The conversation paused as they watched the Defiant complete its patrol circuit. Kovacs found themselves swaying slightly with the ship's movements, their own species' deep connection to rhythm responding to the dance-like patterns. "Your species confuses many in the collective," Kovacs admitted finally. "You build the most powerful defensive fleet in known space, then share your technology freely. You create weapons of unprecedented sophistication, then make them move like dancers. You face extinction and respond with art." Elena laughed, the sound echoing in the dome. "Would you prefer we responded with anger? With fear? We tried that in our own history. It never ended well." She walked to a different section of the dome, gesturing for Kovacs to follow. Below them, Earth hung like a jewel in space, its night side glittering with cities. "Look there," Elena pointed to a particular cluster of lights. "That's New Damascus. It was destroyed in our last global war, 300 years ago. We rebuilt it. There," she pointed to another cluster, New Hiroshima. Also rebuilt. Humans have a long history of destroying things, Ambassador. But we have an even longer history of rebuilding them, making them more beautiful than before. Kovacs's translator hummed as it processed this. "And this relates to your current defense strategy. How?" "The attack showed us we were vulnerable," Elena explained. "But it also showed us we had a choice in how to respond. We could either let that vulnerability make us harsh, paranoid, closed off, or we could use it as motivation to create something beautiful, something that would protect not just us, but anyone who needed protection." She gestured to the patrolling ships. "That's why they dance. That's why we share our technology. That's why every Guardian-class ship is programmed to respond to any distress call, from any species, anywhere in range, because we refuse to let fear define our response to the galaxy." Kovacs was silent for a long moment, their hearts beating in an irregular pattern as they processed this. Finally, they spoke. "The Meridian Collective has been debating whether to accept Earth's offer of full alliance. Many fear your species is too unpredictable, too emotional." "And what do you think, Ambassador?" "I think," Kovacs said slowly, "that the galaxy needs more emotion, more beauty, more ships that dance." They turned their primary sensor array fully toward Elena. "I will recommend immediate acceptance of the alliance offer." Elena's smile widened. "I look forward to showing you how humans celebrate new alliances. We have these things called fireworks. Explosions for entertainment." Kovacs interrupted, their translator conveying dry amusement. "Yes, we've heard of these. More beauty from destruction." "Exactly," Elena laughed. "Though I should warn you, the orbital display we have planned might be a bit overwhelming." As if on cue, the Guardian-class ships began a new formation, their quantum matrices harmonizing in a way that made Kovacs's entire body resonate in response. The display was completely unnecessary from a defensive standpoint, burning energy that could have been conserved. But it was beautiful. And perhaps, Kovacs reflected, that was exactly the point. In a galaxy full of species trying to prove their strength through power, humans had chosen to prove theirs through beauty, through art, through transformation. The Defiant led the formation in a spiraling dance that defied traditional spatial physics, its quantum field leaving trails of light that painted pictures in the void. Kovacs found themselves wondering what other species would make of this display. This insistence on finding beauty in defense, hope in preparation, art in necessity. They suspected they would soon find out. After all, humans had never been good at keeping beautiful things to themselves. The Void's challenge. The Emergency Council chamber of the Galactic Defense Alliance hadn't been used in over 50 years. Now representatives from 27 spacefaring civilizations sat in tense silence as Admiral Sarah Chen presented humanity's findings. The Void anomaly first appeared at these coordinates. She said, the holographic display showing a tear in spacetime at the edge of known space. At first, we thought it was a natural phenomenon. Then we detected this. The display shifted, showing waves of dark energy pulsing from the anomaly. The assembled representatives shifted uncomfortably as they recognized the pattern. It was identical to the weapon signature that had nearly destroyed Earth 5 years ago. Not possible, declared High Commander Zixva of the Mirian Fleet. The technology was contained. Destroyed. Apparently not, Chen replied grimly. Our quantum sensors detected identical energy signatures from 3 more locations in the past week. Whatever created the weapon that attacked Earth, it's back, and it's not testing anymore. The chamber erupted in overlapping voices, each species universal translators struggling to keep up with the cascade of questions and exclamations. Chen waited patiently until First Ambassador Kovacs raised all 4 hands for silence. Admiral Chen, Kavax's voice cut through the chaos. "What do the humans propose?" Chen nodded to Commander Maya Patel, who stood from her seat at the engineering console. The young officer's hands moved across the controls, bringing up a new holographic display. "We call it Project Unity," Maya explained. "We've modified our quantum matrix technology to create a linked defense network. Each participating world would be protected by a field similar to the ones powering our Guardian-class ships, but on a planetary scale. The energy requirements would be astronomical." Technical Overseer RK-7 objected, their mechanical frame vibrating with concern. "Yes," Maya agreed, "which is why we need all of you. Each species' contribution would strengthen the network. The Mirian's crystal technology could enhance the field stability. The Arxen's gravity manipulation could extend its range. The collective's biomechanical interfaces could improve response time." She paused, looking around the chamber. "Alone, none of us could power a defense network of this scale. Together, we might have a chance." The silence that followed was heavy with possibility. Chen watched the assembled representatives exchange glances, their various biological and mechanical methods of communication, creating a subtle symphony of consideration. "There is another problem." Ambassador Trell of the Solari Confederation spoke up, their luminescent form pulsing with concern. "The coordination required. 27 species, all with different technologies, different protocols, different ways of thinking. The complexity alone." "We've thought of that too," Chen said, nodding to Dr. Elena Santos, who had been quietly observing from her position near the chamber's observation window. Elena stepped forward, her presence somehow calming the room's nervous energy. "We propose using music as the universal interface." The confusion in the chamber was palpable. "Every spacefaring species we've encountered," Elena continued, "has some form of rhythmic communication. Sound, light, electromagnetic pulses, gravitational waves. They're all patterns, frequencies, music." She gestured, and a holographic display changed again, showing a complex mathematical pattern that looked surprisingly like a musical score. "We've developed an AI that can translate any species' natural communication rhythm into a unified defensive protocol. The quantum matrices already sing to each other. We're just expanding the chorus. You want to defend against an existential threat with music." High Commander Zixva's third eye was blinking rapidly in disbelief. "We want to unite 27 different species' technologies and methods of thinking using the one thing we all have in common," Elena corrected gently. "Pattern, rhythm, the mathematics of existence itself." Maya stepped forward again. "We've already successfully tested the interface with 5 species defense systems. The results were extraordinary." The holographic display shifted one final time, showing a simulation of the unified defense network. The quantum fields pulsed in perfect harmony, each species' unique energy signature contributing to a whole that was far greater than the sum of its parts. "It's beautiful," Kavax whispered, their translator barely catching the words. "Yes," Chen agreed, "but more importantly, it works. The combined field is strong enough to resist any known weapon, including whatever's coming through those anomalies. And you would trust all of us with this technology?" Ambassador Trell asked, their light dimming slightly, "even knowing some might try to use it for their own purposes." Chen's expression hardened slightly. "The network only functions through cooperation. Try to use it selfishly, and it simply stops working. We learned from the attack. True strength comes from unity, not isolation." The chamber fell silent again as the implications sank in. Humanity wasn't just offering a defense system. They were offering a way to unite the galaxy's disparate species in a way that had never been achieved before. "There is one more thing," Maya added softly. "The network. It learns, adapts. Each species that joins makes it stronger, more resilient, more beautiful." She touched a control, and the simulation began to move faster, showing how the network would grow and evolve as more species joined. Like a galaxy-wide symphony, Alina explained, where each civilization adds its own voice to the whole. First Ambassador Kovacs rose slowly, their four hearts beating in an unusual pattern that made their translator hum. Humanity faces extinction-level threats and responds with art. Faces division and responds with unity. Faces darkness and responds with beauty. They turned to address the chamber. I move for an immediate vote on implementing Project Unity. One by one, the representatives signaled their agreement. Even High Commander Zixva's third eye had stopped blinking, now fixed steadily on the simulation of the unified network. As Chen watched the vote proceed, she thought about the long journey that had brought them here. From the devastation of the attack to this moment of potential unity, humanity had refused to let fear dictate their response to threats. Instead, they had chosen to transform that fear into something new, something that could protect not just their world, but all worlds. The void anomalies were still out there, growing stronger, but now, for the first time, the galaxy would face them together, singing in harmony. Beyond the stars, 3 months after the implementation of Project Unity, the void anomalies struck, not with weapons or ships, but with silence. A silence that consumed light, energy, and even the quantum harmonies that connected the defense network. Entire sectors of space went dark as the anomalies expanded, threatening to swallow everything in their path. Admiral Sarah Chen stood on the bridge of the Defiant, watching the galactic map as another system vanished into darkness. The ship's quantum matrix hummed beneath her feet, but even its song seemed muted, as if the void was consuming sound itself. "Status report," she commanded, her voice steady despite the tension crackling through the bridge. "The Unity network is holding," Commander Maya Patul responded from her engineering station. "But the strain is increasing. The void, it's not just consuming energy, it's consuming the patterns themselves." Dr. Elena Santos looked up from her xenological readings, her dark eyes reflecting the holographic displays. "It's not random. The void anomalies, they're moving in harmony, like they're dancing to their own music." Chen's eyes narrowed. "Show me." The main display shifted, tracking the movement of the anomalies across the galaxy. Elena was right. There was a pattern to their expansion, a rhythm that seemed almost familiar. "It's a mirror," Kovacs said suddenly. The first ambassador had insisted on joining the Defiant's crew for this mission, claiming the Meridian Collective needed to witness humanity's response firsthand. The void anomalies, they're matching our defense network's pattern, but in reverse. Maya's hands flew across her console. "Confirmed. The void's energy signature is an inverse of our quantum harmony. It's using our own rhythm against us." "Then we change the music," Chen said firmly. She opened a channel to the Unity network's command frequency, her voice reaching every ship and station in the combined fleet. "All vessels, prepare for pattern shift alpha. We're going to teach this void how humanity dances." The response was immediate. 27 civilizations worth of ships and defensive installations began moving in new patterns, their quantum matrices adjusting to a rhythm that humans had perfected over centuries of warfare and art. Improvisation. "What are you doing?" Kovacs asked, their translator struggling to convey their mix of confusion and awe. "Jazz," Elena answered with a smile. "The art of beautiful chaos." "Maya, initiate the pattern shift on my mark." The void anomalies seemed to hesitate, their expansion slowing as they encountered something they couldn't predict or mirror. The Unity network's harmony shifted and flowed, each species adding their own variations to the basic pattern humanity had provided. The Mirians are using crystalline harmonics to amplify the irregular rhythms, Maya reported, her voice excited. The Arxans are pulsing their gravity fields in syncopation. The collective, they're doing something with quantum entanglement that I don't even have words for. Chen watched as the combined fleet moved in patterns that defied conventional physics, each ship and station contributing to a symphony of defense that the void couldn't consume because it couldn't predict what would come next. Pattern recognition failing. The void anomalies seemed to pulse with confusion. unable to establish resonance. Now, Chen ordered, full-spectrum quantum pulse, all vessels. Let's show them what happens when the galaxy sings together. The Unity network responded as one. Every ship, every station, every planetary defense system pulsed in perfect chaotic harmony. The quantum matrices sang with power that had never been achieved before, their combined energy focused through the lens of 27 species' determination to survive. The void anomalies shuddered. Where before they had consumed patterns, now they found themselves overwhelmed by a symphony they couldn't comprehend or counter. One by one, they began to collapse in on themselves, their darkness replaced by brilliant bursts of quantum energy. Energy signatures are dissipating, Maya reported triumphantly. The void anomalies are collapsing across all sectors. No, Alina corrected, studying her readings. Not collapsing. Transforming. She was right. As the last of the void anomalies imploded, they left behind something new. Points of quantum resonance that pulsed in harmony with the Unity network. The darkness hadn't been destroyed. It had been converted, transformed by the combined creativity of 27 species working in concert. What did we just do? Kovacs asked softly, their 4 hearts beating in time with the new quantum points. What humans always do, Chen replied, watching the galaxy map light up with new possibilities. We took something meant to destroy us and turned it into something beautiful instead. With a little help from our friends. The bridge crew worked quickly to stabilize the new quantum points, but Chen's attention was drawn to the way the Defiance quantum matrix had changed. It wasn't just humming anymore. It was singing in harmony she had never heard before, enriched by the contributions of every species in the Alliance. Admiral, Maya called out, her voice filled with wonder. The new quantum points. They're creating bridges, stable pathways through space-time that the Unity network can use. We've just invented a new form of faster-than-light travel. Elena laughed, the sound bright with joy. Of course we did. Because that's what happens when you face darkness with creativity instead of fear. You don't just survive, you evolve. First Ambassador Kovacs moved to stand beside Chen, their translator humming with emotion. When we first encountered humans, many species thought you were too unpredictable, too emotional, too artistic in your approach to survival. Now I understand. You don't just adapt to the galaxy. You teach the galaxy how to dance. Chen smiled, watching as the combined fleet began exploring the new quantum bridges, each ship's matrix singing in harmony with the others. That's humanity's real gift to the galaxy. Not our technology, not our weapons, not even our ability to survive. It's our ability to transform fear into hope, chaos into art, and enemies into family. The Defiance quantum matrix pulsed with power as it approached one of the new bridges, its song now part of a greater symphony that spanned the galaxy. Humanity had faced extinction and responded with creativity, had faced division and responded with unity, had faced darkness and responded with light. And now, as Chen gave the order to explore what lay beyond the quantum bridges, she knew that humanity's greatest adventure was just beginning. Because they weren't just reaching for the stars anymore. They were teaching the stars themselves how to sing. The galaxy would never be the same. And that, perhaps, had been humanity's goal all along.